that's interesting. Well, that's interesting too. Hello there, my name is Anthony Barocas. I am here for Bird Dog Live Session. And I want to thank everyone who is here for Bird Dog Live Session. It's interesting that I've got the blue background, but it won't key out. Very interesting. Normally, that keys away and you get to see the nice background we have here, but hey, I have a special guest with us today, and he will have an even better background than I have. So before I move on, I also want to tell you that everyone watching today's show has a chance to win a year's subscription to Bird Dog Connect. Apparently, that's the old logo too. Got to change that. So if you go to bit.ly BD entry for Bird Dog Entry, or if you're watching this on a laptop or a computer, use your phone and scan the QR code. So you could either type it in manually or you could scan the QR code. And I just saw that somebody scanned the QR code. So kudos to that. You have a chance to win a year subscription to Bird Dog Connect. Now, Bird Dog Connect, if you haven't already seen it, Dan and I have done a couple shows sort of peeling back the layers of how powerful Bird Dog Connect is and all the different things it can do. So do check those out. Those are on the live channel on YouTube. You can start to learn about what Bird Dog Connect can do for you. And the cool thing with a year's subscription for free is that you have the time to sort of like, let me try it out here, let me try it out there, or let me see what else it can do. You don't have to like get it all working and running and test it all out in 14 days or 7 days or something like that. You have time. And then what you use it for this month could be different than what you use it from next month. So feel free to enter to win. I see I have entries already coming in. I have a screen right next to me looking at the entries as they come in. And so kudos to you. Right now, Ollie has a 100% chance of winning. But I dare say we're probably going to have a few more people chime in to win this really valuable subscription. So if you haven't already, you can type in bit.ly Bird Dog Entry for BD entry for Bird Dog Entry, or use your phone, point it at the QR code. That'll take you to an entry form where you get to fill in your email address, your name, fill in your email address again in case you had a typo, because that's how we're going to award it to you. And then answer a couple questions. Tell us about what product you like, what product you want to see, things like that. And when you hit enter, then it pops up on my screen. I'm sorry, Ollie, you no longer have a 100% chance of winning because others have joined. But that's how it's supposed to be. It's a contest, and it's only live during the live show when it airs. If you're watching this an hour later or a day later, it's not live anymore, and you will see that the entry form is closed. So this is just for people who are tuning in live. So kudos to you for tuning in live. Also, remember, because you are tuning in live, you have the ability to really ask us questions. And as we talk through these products and we talk through the different feature sets, put questions in the comments. We both have the comments in front of us, and we will be able to see your questions and be able to like bring them up as part of the show. So this is sort of like tech support, but live, you know. It's not AI. It's not being generated in 0.2 seconds. We have people who actually understand what's going on. And if we don't know, we'll just say we don't know, because we're human, and that's the real thing. So again, use the comments to be able to interact with us. And right now, let me come on over here to the news. Oh, it's just really going to be interesting today. Zoop, there we go. So in the news, if you are on the East Coast of the US, NAB Show New York, you can see Bird Dog at booth 551. So if there are free passes available to come in, see the exhibits, visit the booths and things like that, seminars and everything, those actually cost money. But definitely go to, if you're in the Big Apple, definitely go to that. And then also Adobe Max, Bird Dog will be appearing at Adobe Max at a booth 2718. So if you wanted to see the products in person, if you wanted to be able to sit down and play with them and use the new KBD and move the cameras around and check out the quality and dive into, you know, just all the details with these things, those are the next two places where you can see these products in person. So feel free to add that to your list of things to do. And without further ado, I have a special guest with me today. I have CJ, the Senior Product Manager of BirdDog, and I'll reach over here and click this little button and bring on CJ with me. So thank you, CJ, for waking up early in the morning. And it actually turns out you're able to see the comments too, right? So
Yes, yeah.
not only is CJ joining us from Australia, but we have Bowls Promo TV from the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, and Savvy AU is in, how do you say that?
I guess New South Wales.
New South Wales.
Yeah, yeah. So he's
So
he's
you're
up probably in Sydney area or something like that.
okay. So I'm like north southwest. I don't.
Yeah, no,
So
it's much easier now in Australia because we did have a time change. So now it's 8 a.m., which before I think we were doing these at like 7 or 6 a.m. So it's
yes,
getting easier.
yes,
And then I think when you guys fall back in a couple weeks, it'll be
yeah.
even better. So it only gets better from here.
All right, yeah. So you're going into summer. We're going into winter, and I also want to say hello to Douglas in Honduras. He's watching us in Honduras. And Savvy says, hi, CJ.
Oh, regional New South Wales. Okay, so not Sydney.
Okay, so there you go. What we really wanted to talk about today, and let me see if I can adjust this. Can I adjust this line? Can I just drag it? I guess not. We're going to continue on with the Mach-E line, the Mach-E Ultra. So
Yes.
tell us about the Mach-E Ultra.
Yeah, so today we wanted to kind of go through, we've kind of now formulated the whole Mach-E line, and it's kind of really becoming a family. And so, yeah, going through top to bottom, this is the Ultra, which, yeah, we both have. You got the white one. Here's the black. This is the ultimate, I think, NDI POV sports 4K 60 camera. What you'll get out of this is kind of in terms of the traditional BirdDog approach of cameras, where it's PoE. So you'll just do the one cable for Ethernet. And then you also have the addition of 3G SDI, which that was a big one that our previous generation of this kind of fixed box camera did not have. And so with this one, you do get a 3G SDI connector for any type of traditional SDI workflow. But then you can also do NDI HX2, HX3, or even go HDMI out of this. We've also seen some people that will use the USB port for a UVC camera as well. So if you want a kind of a very high end with tons of optical zoom, these come in 12 or 20x optical zoom ranges, which I think is really where this thing can shine. So if you think about setting this thing way up out of the way, either in a venue or a large conference room or any type of sporting event, this is kind of the perfect fixed camera that you don't have to worry about where is it looking. It's always going to show you, the highlights of the action. So the Mach-E Ultra really for that 4K 60 is kind of the ultimate NDI companion that usually you can have it standalone or you can associate it along with your PTZ cameras.
And I was holding it up. You've actually got controls on the side. So that's
Yes.
one of the really interesting features in that, you think of it like, oh, well, it's just a camera that I stick in a corner somewhere, but you've got the HDMI out, so you can put a monitor on top, and then you've got a zoom control button literally on the side. So if needed, somebody could actually operate this camera with a zoom control, and it's got the fast focus.
Yep.
And you've also got audio line in too, so you can bring audio into this from wherever you might be as well.
Yeah, and one of the also maybe lesser known things is it also does have a built-in mic as well. So you can use a built-in mic if you want just any type of reference audio on the front, or you can do the line in like you said. We have seen some people that will do the HDMI output from this into a monitor, and then they'll have the reference feed right in front of them, and then they'll send back the NDI feed to the production, and they'll utilize the feed there. So you can have multiple outputs come out of this thing. Depending on what you want to do, having the zoom button is nice. You also have the autofocus that you can adjust, as well as some of the brightness settings. So it is nice to be able to just come up, and if you need to scoot it in a little bit or back out, you can do it right on the side.
Yeah. Now, just as a side note, it like came into my head and then left again. It has the HDMI out, but this does not have the second decoder, correct? Like
It is. Yeah, it does not have a decoder built in, so the
Okay.
HDMI out is always going to be the camera signal coming out of it.
Right, just because I know people have been really interested in that feature with the PTZ cameras. Like, does this one have it? Does that one have it? Does and things like that. So I know it's going to come up. So I figured I would just ask it now. So if you are using this in a prompter, you can't then take this on this particular model. You can't take the HDMI out and use that for program in front. It's just going to be the camera feed.
Yeah, you'll find that in our X1 and X5 series. And like I'm using the X1 right in front of me, and I have the program feed coming out, so I can see it in front of me. So it is a nice feature for like any type of studio setup you want to do. But yeah, this one does not have that one, but it's more of for, like I said, fixed installations, and is a really good kind of auxiliary cam, or maybe a camera that you can't put in a normal spot, just because it is small form factor and it's pretty robust. It feels kind of like a little brick. So if it gets hit by something, it's not going to instantly shatter, which is nice. So
it's a good
it's not weatherproof, so don't stick it out in the rain. But yeah, if it gets bumped by a volleyball or a basketball, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And something else that I can show as well, which I'll share my screen for this,
Okay.
and I'll just put it through my feed here, Anthony. But some of the new features coming up that I want to just show is...
Wait, are you announcing something before it's written? Wait a minute.
So we have this in working firmware, and I'll also be able to, we'll be able to send this for beta for anyone who wants to try as we're getting ready to roll this out. But this is going to be the new Mach-E firmware. And one of the features you can kind of see on the top right there of the screen, these are the new things coming. Which is the 9:16 mode, which this is essentially turning it to portrait mode. So you can see right now I'm kind of actually set up almost for a TikTok stream. So if I wanted to send this as a 9:16 vertical video, you now have that option right here at the top for image ratio. So that's a feature coming out in the next firmware for Mach-E Ultra. The other thing that's kind of coming across the whole line, and this is for any 4K bird dog camera that we have coming across, is this new teleconvert feature. And what this does is, if you're in 4K, you get basically a 20x zoom. But if you want to get more optical zoom, we can actually use teleconvert, which will take that 4K sensor, crop it down to 1080p, and then it essentially gives you the distance of a 40x zoom. And so that's coming across on the Mach-E Ultra. It's also coming to the X4. We released the firmware yesterday that has that feature. So this is going to be a popular one for people that want that extra zoom distance.
Right.
If you're in 1080p, you can take advantage of teleconvert.
And then you also, on the slide, it says ePTZ and electronic PTZ.
So yes, we do have ePTZ coming. That one right now, I'll show the demo on the Mach-E Live because we have that coming as well. But yes, ePTZ will allow you to turn this on and be able to do presets and basically create regions of interest in Mach-E Ultra. That one is still coming along. But like I said, if you are interested in any of these three features, feel free to reach out to me, cj@birddog.tv, and we can send you guys along the firmware. But yeah, all of these are coming up basically in the next firmware release for Mach-E Ultra. So I wanted to show you guys kind of what's new and coming along for these cameras. They've been around
switch
for
your
about...
camera back.
Yep. Yeah, they've been around for, let's see, you can look, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah, so these have been around for about a year and a half. So it is nice to see that we're still, bringing new features that we can to these cameras.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that teleconvert is something that is just insanely useful because, yes, it's a 4K camera, but a lot of people are still streaming in 1080. And it's like, well, technically, if you just crop the sensor, you get another 2x out of it. And using that teleconvert gives you you got pixel for pixel, and you've got additional reach.
Yep. And it was actually something that we did on the previous version on the P240, and we did the same thing and then gave it a 40x optical zoom. So we know it works and people are happy with it. So it was something that we're like, okay, let's bring this in to the X series line as well. So we're confident that it'll be a nice feature add for people that want that extra zoom distance.
Savvy AU asks, what's the widest angle of view that they have, and how low do their f-stops for low light?
So it kind of depends on which one. So like I said, for Mach-E Ultra, there's two versions. There's a 12x optical zoom, which that one has around a 70-degree field of view. And then there's a 20x optical version, which is around 60-degree field of view. So depending on if you want that further distance or if it's going to be in a smaller environment, you can choose between the 12 or the 20x. I believe most people, it really depends on what your environment is. So if this thing is going to be 50 meters plus back, you're going to want to go for that 20x optical zoom. But if you're in a small conference room or a meeting space, most people will tend to steer towards the 12x.
Right. So the 12x starts a little wider, and the one with the longer reach, you kind of figure if you're going to want it to reach a little further, we can start a little further too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a physical difference of the cameras, what it comes down to.
Right.
And as far as the lowest f-stop on them, I believe it is 1.6 and then 1.8, depending on which model you have. So for low light, these do have a 4K sensor, so these are good for low light. The Mach-E Live doesn't have, I don't think, as low as an f-stop. So if you are in a low light environment, this Mach-E Ultra is going to be kind of your better choice for a fixed camera in low light environments.
Right. Savvy you, I'll ask, how quick are they for sporting events? And I'll tell you, mine can pan like this. So mine is really quick.
Depends. Yeah, it depends on how strong you are. For quick, I guess, so it goes up to 60 FPS. So for most sports, that's kind of the standard. So they don't do 120 FPS, so it's not like a slow-mo replay camera, but so you will get 60 FPS and 1080 or 4K out of these, if that's what you mean by quick.
So yeah, it's a full 4K P60. So
yeah, and we'll talk about as we go down to the Mach-E Live, which has a couple different applications. That one's only 4K 30. So if you need that 60 frames per second for sports, which is kind of the main thing that sports will stream in, is 60 FPS. Most other things stream in 30 FPS, so it really depends on your application.
All right, and Douglas chimed in. That was me hoping it had a decoder.
No, yeah. Go ahead.
I know usually there's somebody that always asks about any camera we mention, does it also decode? And so I figured I would just throw it in there ahead of time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's always the camera that you want that doesn't have it, I'm pretty sure. Because the X1 and the X5 have the decoder built in. And so I think we've looked at doing it. I'm not sure if we've confirmed anything, but it's right now the X1 and the X5 are the two decoder PTZ options that we have.
And let me also say hello to Jose viewing in Colombia. So definitely around the world today. But we had another question come in. Excited that you released the outdoor unit, but upset that Anthony said at 2 a.m. this morning, depending on where you're watching, that it was $10,000. I was guessing. I actually have no idea what the outdoor camera with the housing and everything. I don't know what the whole package is going to be. I was just literally guessing.
Yeah, no. So that's the 04, which we did announce at IBC. That one's shipping here basically beginning of November is when it's coming out. The 04 is 6,500 USD, so less than 10,000. If you're in Australian dollars, it's more than 10,000, and then euros, it's going to be 5,500. I want to say 5,600, depending on what the economy is looking like. But yeah, so it's not $10,000, and you will find that most of the competitors are well above that $10,000 range. So the 04 will give you a 4K 60 for 6,500 US dollars.
Plus, with that teleconverter, insane reach.
You get 60x with that one. It's 30x in 4K and then 60x. And yeah, we have it set up here in our office in Melbourne, and we can shoot across like the whole skyline and look, and it's kind of scary how far you can reach and see at different buildings. So,
and I'll say I haven't set it up yet, but they gave me one to set up here in Texas, and I'm going to be able to show you the amphitheater in Australia.
Yeah, across the world zoom. It's got some curve.
It's a really good zoom.
Yeah, no, it is a good camera. And yeah, for $6,000, I don't think there's anything that's going to touch it.
All right, that will bring us down to the Mach-E Live.
Yes. So this is the you just got yours. So I have two set up here, and I'll kind of show walking through that a bit here just to highlight. This is basically, I think of this as like the little portable Swiss Army knife. Throw it down wherever you want. It is a decent amount smaller than the Mach-E Ultra. Weight-wise, it's also a little bit lighter, but there is a battery in it, which is one of the highlight features. And you do get 6 hours of battery life. So we have these things streaming all the time. You can see this one right here behind me. It's just floating. It's powered on. If you're in 1080, you'll actually sometimes get closer to 8 hours of streaming. So if you're in 4K, you'll get 6. And then if you're in 1080, you'll get 8. So it is, yeah, on the back I/O, you just have a USB-C connector, and then you do have a full HDMI port, which that was one of the things that we did not compromise on. A lot of similar cameras will have like a mini or micro, which I really don't like. So we made sure we get a full HDMI. And then you also have that locking USB-C connector, and then an SD card, a mini SD card for recording, or micro SD card. So you can record internally on this. You can use it as a UVC camera, as like your desktop if you want. And then you can also have it go HDMI out into like a traditional HDMI switcher. On top of that, you also get an IP protocol, which is great. So you can choose to send it out over NDI onto the network, or you can do SRT or RTSP or RTMP out of it. And you basically choose one network protocol you want to come out of the camera. And then aside from that, you can do the HDMI or the UVC workflow as well.
Yeah, and one of the interesting things that I found is that I was talking some time ago with other people, and they compare it to the Mevo, because the Mevo's been out for, I don't know, 5-7 years now, and everybody says, we really want an optical zoom. We really want an optical zoom in a tiny battery camera with Wi-Fi that I can take to the kids' baseball game. This optical, and they're not listening. And then this thing comes out, and it's like exactly what people have been asking for: a tiny little battery-operated Wi-Fi with optical zoom.
Yep. Yeah. So you do get a 3x optical zoom out of it, which is a big thing. And then you can also do digital on top of it if you enable it. So yeah, you essentially get an effective range of 9x. But yeah, the Mevo and a lot of the other cameras that are in this price point will only be digital zoom. So on this one, you do get an actual optical zoom inside, which we're currently right now also experimenting with EPTZ, which I'll show a little bit of a demo here in a second of that. As we're
I actually want to clarify one thing. You're saying that the Mevo has a digital zoom, but it's only an HD camera. So when you're cropping in on the sensor, you're actually losing resolution because you're starting at HD. Whereas when you do the digital zoom on the BirdDog, you're starting with 4K. Mm-hmm. So you're able to do that 2x and still be lossless.
Yeah. So it is important to have the 4K aspect if you're going to do EPTZ, in my opinion, because otherwise it gets grainy pretty fast. Mm-hmm. One of the other things that I think is important to also differentiate between the Mevo and the Mach-E Live is that the Mevo does require the app component to do any of its streaming or IP protocols. So for the Mevo, you actually need to have your phone. That's the thing that's doing like the streaming of the signal. Whereas the Mach-E Live, it's happening on the camera. So you could set it up and then you could put your phone away and walk away. As long as this thing's connected to the internet, you can stream straight from the camera. You don't need a companion app to stream. So that is one of the big differentiators. We wanted to make sure that this thing could stream out of the camera itself.
The smarts are actually in the camera.
Yes, it's in the computer. So you can mount these things wherever. It's just a quarter 20 on the bottom. And then one of the updates that we did bring out last month was you can also use the USB-C as a microphone input. We're still going through different variations. If it has like a driver or an app, it's probably not going to work. But if it's a driverless USB-C microphone, should have no issues just plugging in and becoming your microphone input. Otherwise, there are internal microphones built in on the Mach-E Live as well. The other thing that we had the addition to, similar to what I showed on the Mach-E Ultra, this thing can also do the portrait mode video. So if you choose portrait mode, it'll crop down to a 9:16 image.
Portrait mode.
Yeah. So, and this one will actually crop it down, so you don't even have to rotate it. The Mach-E Ultra right now you will rotate, but this one can actually just crop it down and shoot the vertical video. So the other thing, which I'll also show, let me flip over, if you don't mind, Anthony, I'll flip over also to the app and show that. So if you can see here, this is just on my iPad. And so on the Mach-E Live app, this is just opened. If you hit the plus icon at the bottom, you'll basically get these two modes to work the Mach-E Live in. Now this top one, Wi-Fi client mode, this is if you want to use this thing as a traditional NDI camera and or SRT or RTMP. So you can connect up to 3 on the app, and you're basically saying connect to my home network, and then I'll control it. The other option is you can also connect the camera directly to the phone to monitor or record. And that's just if you want a basic monitoring and maybe you're using the HDMI output only, and you don't need those network NDI or SRT options. So if I go over to here and then we click next, you will basically choose which network do you want to connect to. So this is the BirdDog Office Wi-Fi network that I'm going to connect to. And on the bottom prompt, the iPod actually blocks out the text on this, but it says I have all the dots of my Wi-Fi password here. And you're going to want to click on that and then enter in the Wi-Fi password of the network that you're trying to connect the Mach-E Live to. So that is that step. And then once you do that, it'll search for the devices. And then there's the 2 Mach-E Lives that I have. So
there they are.
Hit click, and then we will pair the first one, and then I'll hit click, and then we'll pair the second one. And then once I hit next, now you are looking, this is that one that was right behind me. Hello. And then I also have this one straight in front of me as kind of like a webcam. So now that I'm in here, you can see the audio if the microphone's going through. If I click the little gear wheel and click to setup, this is where all the settings are for the camera. Now, what's neat
wait a minute.
is
That doesn't look like mine.
this is the test flight version, which we'll be having soon. Most of the things should look the same. The only thing I think that's really kind of new is this little green box you'll see.
For EPTZ.
Exactly. And what I can do here is let me pull up. Also, you guys can see the output at the same time, if this works. So if I click over, let's see.
Oh, look at that.
Hopefully you guys can see this okay.
Yeah.
So this is the kind of the full res NDI stream, and this one is a little bit of a proxy in it for making sure it's efficient and not bogging down your system. So now on this EPTZ, and we're still working through this. This is why it's not released, but I'll show you guys a little bit for the app of how this will work. So if I scroll this down, you'll basically get to be able to move your region of interest across. And the next thing that we're working on is to be able to control the speed as well as setting presets for this. But if you notice, this is basically just scanning around my 4K sensor. So you're not losing any image quality. And it's, this is a really cool feature that you can do. And it's literally just pinching to zoom on this, if you can see through that screen demo. But this is one of the features that will be coming in the next update and when the next app is released. I did see one of the comments that said for the Android app, which yes, I'm working very hard to make the, we are working to do a new Android version release as well that will catch up to the iPhone. So that is definitely in the workshop right now. But yeah, so for EPTZ, you do have that option. You can also turn it off, and then it'll get rid of that green box, and then you can use it as normal. So now, Anthony, this might look more like your camera that you have now.
So here, let's see something though. If you go up to the top of that where it says widen tele and you move that slider towards telephoto, what happens? It zooms in. If I move mine towards telephoto, it zooms out.
Oh, are you on the old? Is this on Android or iPhone?
Android.
So I think that's on the old Android version. So yes, that was a bug on the Android. The Android, unfortunately, it's a lot harder to develop on those cameras compared to iPhone, just because there's so many versions of Android. But we do, if you guys do have an Android, please reach out to me and I can send you guys actually an APK file to download. Okay. Because the Google Store is also not as friendly with doing test firmwares as iOS.
Yeah,
is.
I have to say, you know, having test flighted certain things, I was like, man, this test flight thing is actually like easy.
Yeah,
it's surprisingly easy.
Let's see. Actually, I think I can turn on my camera here. Yeah. Actually, so you guys can see me.
Now here's another question that somebody asked me earlier. How can I set the shutter speed of the Mach-E Live? Is that in here or is that in the web interface?
No, so the Mach-E Live actually has a fixed, the shutter speed. It has a fixed iris to go with the zoom. Shutter speed should be in the web UI, which we can walk over there in a second. It might not be in this update right now. I'll show really quickly some of the last things on this app that did come out with the new update as well, and then we can remind me, Anthony, we'll jump over to that. The other thing you can do also is if you're internally recording is you can now view videos if it's on it. So I think this one doesn't have any videos. So if I go over to this guy and hit setup, if I go to view recorded videos, if I click this, you can actually now play back a previous version
Look at
of
that.
a video that you did. And you can also download it straight to your iPhone or soon to be Android. And then you can scrub around. This is just my desk. Oh, that's me playing around with it. So you have the video player right here that you can view what you recorded, which is a nice feature to have. So that's one of the new things that also came out in the update.
Now, the gesture recognition, what gestures are you guys building into these?
So currently, the only gestures we have is for zoom. And so that's holding out your palm to zoom in and then closing your palm to zoom out. So those are the only two right now we have. So, and we need to fix this font because it says in very small font, zoom in, zoom out. So we need to make that a little bit more clear to see.
Actually, on the Android version, that font's not there at all, or at least in the old Android version.
Yeah, like I said, the Android one does have an update that is well overdue for it. So the iPhone one is the more kept up one, but we are working on doing the new Android release.
And then somebody this morning was like, asked me about 1080p 60.
1080p 60?
Yeah.
So on the Mach-E Live, the image module is only set to do 30 or 25. So unfortunately, it's not a 60 frame sensor. So you can't do 60 frames or 50 frames on it. It's only going to be into those 25 or 30 frame applications.
That's what I was thinking, because generally, if something is working at 4K P30, everything else that it's going to do is going to be coming down from that 4K P30. Especially like you showed, if you're going to be using a digital crop and things like that, you're working with the 4K sensor, and the 4K sensor is doing 30 frames a second. And of course, this thing is considerably smaller, and you have to like make it run off a battery for hours at a time. So you're not. Yeah, you're not talking the same level of horsepower as the Mach-E Studio, which I have them sitting here on my desk, and the Mach-E Studio is nice and warm.
Yeah, the big Mach-E Ultra box camera. This is if you want that 60 FPS. Yeah. We did have to make some choices and sacrifices the Mach-E Live because there's only so much you can do. But yeah, so 30 frames, 25 frames, that is a limit. You can actually see here, these are those portrait modes as well. So like if I click that setting and click apply, you'll actually see, there it goes. Now it's cropped down on my app, and then actually in this this input as well. So that's a nice thing if you want to do that portrait mode for like I said, TikTok streaming or anything vertical video on your phone. So you do have that option available to you. Like I said, you can choose between what IP protocol you do out of this. So NDI-HX2, NDI-HX3, SRT, RTSP, or RTMP.
Is it a single choice, or can you do NDI and SRT?
So this one on the Mach-E Live, it is a single choice for your IP protocol. So on the X series and stuff, you do get like the two different things where you can do NDI-HX and SRT. On the Mach-E Live, you choose one IP destination. So it's either going to be an NDI camera, or if you have this thing, super remote with just an internet connection, you could do an SRT stream directly from it. But you'll choose that one IP protocol, and then you still have the option to do HDMI out, and you can also get the reference video on the app as well, no matter what IP protocol you choose.
Okay. So technically it's doing three, but
yeah, it's So the streaming protocol, it is down to one, and then everything else you've seen you can do simultaneously as well. So yes, and then I can flip over here to the web UI as well. So if I go to setup and then hit device information, you'll actually see if you're connected to a network with an internet connection, you can see that. So 192.168.0.156. And then now I will flip over to that camera feed. Let's see, here we go. So you should actually be able to see here the Mach-E Live web UI now. So this, let's see. So I'm on a beta version here. If we go to cam control, you can see that I'm still in my portrait mode video. Exposure. I think we might not have manual. So here's going to be your shutter speed selection.
Okay. Because I know sometimes if people want to use these for theater, the challenge they're going to have is that it could be a large dark stage, and with spotlights. So they need to go in there and say, this is my this is my shutter speed, this is my gain, just stay here.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Don't change if the lighting conditions change. Yeah. So you would set it here. We are working, like I said, pretty regularly on making the apps better. Android is what we're working on right now. But yeah, we are working towards making everything seamless between the two. It's just been one step at a time for us, but we are working towards making everything succinct. So if you need right now for the exposure, that's where you're going to choose it on this. Otherwise, in the app, you're going to get basically all these picture settings that you can do.
Right.
But anything that you need that's more granular, you will want to go to the web UI.
So it is there in the camera. You know, you just got to use the web interface to get to it. That was the key thing. For somebody who needed that feature, this is how you get to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you can also see one of the nice things, like you can see now the battery percentage. We just actually brought this out to the X4 as well in the firmware that came out yesterday. So you can see your battery on your web UI. So if you're in a completely different place and not in range to connect on the phone app, because the phone app does use Bluetooth to connect to the camera. So you want to kind of be in the same vicinity if you're connecting to it. You still get the same camera controls in here as well. You can also do ePTZ in this by just drawing a box region, which is pretty cool. I can maybe show that. Let's see if I can flip over to this. Go to encode settings. We'll go back to regular. And then we'll turn ePTZ on. Let's see. So now we have this little box here, and this is going to be the region of it, like how you'll control the PTZ on this one. So you can do it from the web UI as well if you want. Sorry, it's kind of hard to show with all these different screens. If I cut over here, you'll now see that that's cropped into what I drew. So on my web interface, I can now draw the box as well if I want. So.
Very cool. So again, there's multiple ways to access the cameras and access the features on these cameras, and the features that are built into the camera, are going to be available on both the mobile version on iOS, the mobile version on Android, and the web version via the network. So I guess it's just a challenge, just trying to keep up with adding a feature, but then making it available in all these different avenues.
Yes, this thing can do a lot, and even if we go back over to the AV setup tab, there's so much this thing can do for a $500 camera. Like I said, this is where you would choose the protocols if you want. You can set the tally color, which is always a fun thing, and then this was that new feature that I mentioned. If you want to use the microphone, you can do this on the app as well. You can set it to USB accessory, and that's how you would choose microphone input. You can also do a PoE adapter, and this is something I didn't even really talk about. I don't know if I have one next to me, but you can use we have an optional one that we sell, which basically just plugs into the back of the USB-C connector. And you'll get a locking connector to be able to use, and then you can use PoE. So this can now become a permanent installation camera, which I think is pretty important, that you can have this set up not only as a mobile run and gun, but you could also hardline it with a PoE adapter and make it so you don't have to move it and it just stays on permanently.
And this is the locking cable that comes with, locking USB-C cable that comes with the Mach-E Live. So
yeah, you have it.
It screws in over top, and in case you missed it when I held it up the first time, there's a little screw threaded hole right there that is where it screws in and anchors that plug, so it's not going to yank on the fragile USB-C connector.
Yep. So this is the PoE adapter, which is pretty handy. So this will plug right in. We haven't really verified with other third-party ones because we do make our own that you can buy. I think it's $50 US, so it's not insane in the grand scheme. I've seen some people that will get a PoE only one or an Ethernet only one and then use that. But this one will give you both power and Ethernet connection. So for any type of fixed install, that's where that comes in. And then Mach-E Live is now a fixed camera.
All right. So before we go on, I want to tell everybody who joined late that you have the ability to register to win a BirdDog Connect subscription, 1 year, a full year. You can either type in bit.ly BirdDog entry, BD entry, or use your phone and point it at that QR code. And right there, what that's going to do is that'll take you to an entry form on the website. And what you'll do is you'll fill out the name, your name, your email again, in case you typed it in wrong, and tell us, what gear you might have. Tell us what gear you want to find, you want Bird Dog to make. Tell us some information, and then submit that, and then you will be entered to win. That will be given away during the show, 1-year Bird Dog Cloud subscription. And as always, if you joined us late, then be sure to throw questions into the comments, because this is your opportunity to talk to the man. He's right there. And have him answer your questions. And we did actually get a couple questions in. You were talking about the aperture, and Savvy AU says 1.6 is good. How close are we to the quad decoding HX3 firmware release?
So the quad, that's a good question. The quad, I have, our engineers have been working on this pretty much night and day. We do have actually now for the quad, we have an image that has been generated and is currently on the testing bench, just doing like longevity testing. So if you do have a quad and you're interested, once again, I can actually now send an image to be able to begin using HX, whether it's encode or decode 4 channels. So it's on-screen creations. If you are interested, just shoot me an email, cj@birddog.tv, and I can actually send you an image along with some instructions, and we can you can start trying the HX for your quad if you'd like.
And then
the OG4 is going to be very near. I'm trying to get it at the end of this week. So yeah, quad is now. It almost sounds cliche to say closer than it's ever been before, but it is true that we've never been closer. So it is exciting, and yeah, HX support for quad and OG4 is very near.
And just again, these are products that have been out for years, and they were never advertised to be HX devices. So this is new capability being added to things which are people already own. And
yes, yeah. So it was a complete rework as far as the way like the actual engineering goes into it. It's a completely different processor on the unit. So it has been kind of a ground up reshape of how this thing works. And honestly, the main thing that's usually tricky is making sure everything that you had built keeps working while you add on the new things. And that's actually where most of the challenge comes in, is making sure everything lives together symbiotically. So if you add these new things, that's great, but then there's a good chance it's going to kill everything that you'd worked towards previously. But yeah, right now you'll be able to choose full NDI or go down the HX path. So whatever workflow you're in, the quad is going to support that.
Very cool. And then there's a second part to this question. Has the Wi-Fi adapter for X4 Ultra passed QI and ready for shipping? And that's something I'm interested in as well, because, as someone who does use NDI and has tried multiple consumer Wi-Fi things and not had great results, finding something that does Wi-Fi well and is able to handle multiple Wi-Fi streams at the same time reliably is a challenge.
Yes. Yeah, we are still working on the adapter, and it has been a challenge in terms of QA and making sure that it works to what we had advertised. So it is still in that process. We should have an announcement probably coming for it in a couple weeks, but right now it's still in the process of trying to pass all the certifications that are required for different countries. And so we're still right now in the mud for that, but we are working through. And then we're also probably going to be looking at trying to, people find other solutions and testing more different Wi-Fi receivers as well. Because we are, as we're progressing with X4, X1, Mach-E Live, we do find ourselves needing to use Wi-Fi a lot more. So whether it's listening to people in the user group, what they're doing, but we do plan on doing more testing and then being able to relay to you guys different options you can use as well. But yeah, so X4 receiver, we'll have an update probably in a couple weeks here, but nothing as of yet.
This comment came in: if you want to test the outdoor on a Lawn Bowls live stream, wink, wink.
Pick me. Yeah, feel free to once again to shoot me an email, and I can connect you with our sales team, and we can get you in the queue for any type of demo units. We should be having, I think we've already had some people start testing O4s in the Europe region from IBC when we had those cameras over there. So they're already being seen, I think, in the US as well. So Australia is on the list right now to get some units out to those. And like I said, it's going to be a couple weeks till those are shipping, which is exciting because it is a really cool camera.
And then we had another good question. Could the Mach-E Lives work with a mic and an Ethernet port with a USB-C dongle?
So short answer would be no. So unfortunately, you do have to choose what the USB-C port is doing.
In the software, yeah, you
So
showed
you're
that.
gonna, so it's gonna be one or the other. I haven't, to be honest though, I haven't tried doing it. Like you could try to finagle it, but right now it's designed to either do USB-C and look for an Ethernet adapter, or it's designed to look for a camera. So it's one or the other. So if you plug in both, there's a good chance one or neither is going to work. But I haven't actually tested that myself. But it is not designed to be able to do that, unfortunately.
That's a good question. I had not thought of that. Just put a dongle on. Just put a little a hub on there and plug two things in.
Just yeah. And we'll talk about that in a second as we go. Oh, there we go. I do have like a dongle going into my iPad here with all similar setup with that, and we'll show Mach-E Studio as the last segment here. But yeah, we're continuing, like I said, to investigate different microphones. Like I'm wearing like a Rode one right now, but it requires an app on your phone. So when we plug it into the Mach-E Live, for instance, it doesn't work because it's looking for an app to spin up.
Right.
So we are still kind of ironing out through those different options. But if you buy like a driverless, appless mic, it's going to be able to pick up as a microphone.
This is a good question, picking up from the Mach-E Live. Can you color match? Is there a way to color match each camera? Because I know you were showing in that app, you can see multiple cameras. And I know there's the software that will show multiple cameras. Is that software also going to work with the Mach-E Live to be able to easily color match? And he also continues multiple cameras with a color checker.
Color, yeah. So,
and also set profiles.
Yeah, so we actually are constantly investigating different ways of doing that. We've also been messing with like AI applications for being able to color match things. Right now, we don't have like a built-in tool that just presses, you press the button and everything color matches. One thing we are working on that we do actually have like in the KBD, we're unifying everything so that every BirdDog product you has can work. And so on the KBD we have, which is our PTZ controller, you can actually copy and paste camera settings. If like they're the same camera, like you have 3X1s plugged into it, you can actually copy and paste the camera image settings across cameras. We don't have that implemented in the Mach-E Live right now, but it's something that we have in the queue to get added. But right now, the other thing that we have is a cam control update, which is our free Windows software. That one, I've posted a beta on our Facebook user group. If you're not involved in that, please feel free to look that up on Facebook and join. We post betas and things like that all the time there. But yeah, we don't have like an instant color matching AI. The closest thing we have is on our KBD. You can copy and paste between the same model camera to just copy their settings. But it's not going to like intelligently analyze the frame for the different angle that it's at or anything.
And I think and the cam control, I have to say, Dan did a demo of the cam control, and it's really nice because you get all those different cameras on the one screen at the same time. So because it also depends on what screen you're looking at, because you could have two different cameras on two different screens, but each of those, one's an OLED screen because it's a laptop, and one's an LCD screen, and they look very, very different. So if you're looking at it on an iPad, or if you're looking at on a Retina display, or Retina display, or or a LCD display, they need to all be on the same screen at the same time to be able to accurately color match them too.
Yeah, so it is a challenge, and I come from live events, and so I know that it was always a big deal to have everything matched. The good news is also, and we've been working with our X Series cameras on like working with different shaders, like I think Scarhoy makes one, Cyanview makes one. There's people that sell NDI compatible shaders that you can use with our cameras to be able to control like all the aperture, white balance, iris, things like that, and have a dedicated shader person controlling them. So you can utilize those tools with any of our cameras as well.
Right. All right, let's get back to our last topic for today, which is the Mach-E Studio.
Yeah, so you kind of got a little sneak peek earlier when I was running through things, but yeah, this is basically our software switcher. So all you need to buy is this Mach-E control surface, which this is the thing that you order. As soon as you order this, yep, you got one too. It basically acts as the key to unlock the software to use. So if you go onto the App Store, you'll see Mach-E Studio. You can actually bring in like an NDI camera, but as soon as you try doing anything like bringing it into preview a program, it'll say connect your controller. And all you do is plug in the USB-C to that power in that Anthony's showing. And then it'll connect over Bluetooth to the iPad, and that's your whole setup basically. The other thing that you do also recommend is having some type of USB hub. So right now I have Ethernet coming in. I have this USB-C for power for the iPad. So I'm kind of set up there. And then I actually just have my Maki Studio just plugged into my laptop. So you can use any other power source if you wanted for that. But then I'll flip back over here.
And just to clarify for people, you're not connecting this via USB-C to the iPad. It is not a USB. It's not a physical wired connection to the iPad. It's just
Correct.
that you're
it
powering
just needs power of some sort.
So if somebody had a battery bank,
if you were desperate, you could have a brick. I bet. Yes. Yeah. We had looked at doing that, but then you get into all these like certification and shipping issues.
Right. But I mean, if somebody had an external battery bank, they could technically do this untethered. They could like, oh, I'm going to sit back here on this other table and switch.
Yeah. Yeah. As long as it's in Bluetooth range of the iPad, you're good to go. So I'll flip over real quick and we'll just do a brief kind of overview of this. I know we did, Anthony, I think a separate video on this as well a couple months ago, but just as kind of a refresher of everyone. And now that I'm in the studio as well, I think last time I was at home, so it was a little bit harder to get a grasp of what's going on. But one of the beautiful things is if I am in my control surface here, as soon as you press and hold on any of these tabs and go to settings, it'll show you all the options you have to bring in. And one of the cool things is not, in addition to NDI, you can also do RTSP and SRT sources. So as we talked about the Maki Live earlier, you could actually have that Maki Live be somewhere else in the world, sending as an SRT device, and then you could bring that in straight into Maki Studio if you want. Other than that, though, you'll see I have all these different NDI sources. And notice it's not just a Maki camera that it needs, but it could be anything. So actually I have an 04 here, that outdoor camera we talked about. So let's see if I go back and let's flip this one right here, go to settings. And if I go to an 04 camera, you can actually see this is out in the room somewhere looking at a chair, but this is the 04 that's sitting somewhere else in the office. So you can bring that straight in. You can also hit PTZ control, and then you can actually move the camera. So let's see, this is, I don't know what we're looking at, computer screens or something, but you can move the camera around just straight on this, or you could utilize like a built-in or a PTZ keyboard if you wanted as well. So that's built right into the app. The other awesome thing is if I click and hold, here's on my studio camera, if I click and hold on my icon and hit settings again, oops, sorry, not settings. If I go into PTZ control, on the top right of here, I do have a zoom control ability, but if I hit this little home icon, it'll actually bring you into the web UI of the camera as well. So then you could actually go in here, sign into it, and then control the image settings straight on your iPad.
Without having to like have a separate screen to do that.
Yeah, so you can have it. Yeah, you can have a separate screen if you want, but if you have your guy who's locked into the iPad that is only looking at this, he can do any type of quick adjustments, or you can set and fire presets as well right on the iPad. Another kind of cool thing is if you want, you can also use the built-in camera. If you want it as like a reference camera, this is the back camera on the iPad. You can also press and hold and rotate it to the front. And then if you want, kind of one of the neat things is you can also bring in UVC cameras. Believe it or not, this thing can actually bring in 4 separate UVC cameras into it. So if you have like a little webcams that you wanted to bring in, or a Maki Live if you wanted as UVC, you could bring that in there. And then as soon as it's disabled, you can basically bring those in as options as well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to bring into Maki Studio. And as you can see, now I have my T-bar. This is kind of just doing like a normal transition here. And it's basically kind of a full program switcher. And this hardware controller gives you that feel. So if I wanted to bring the 04 into preview, I just press number 2 right here. And then if I wanted to bring it to program, I can hot punch it as well. So it makes it really easy to switch through different sources just on this and not need to, go onto a touch screen. You can look at what's happening out in the action and then have your finger sitting here.
And I think, that's one of the key things is that, one of the things like people who do switch on a touch screen almost, or even on a laptop, almost always end up getting a control surface. So that's basically what this is. This is the control surface. So you can sit there and without looking at it, you can run your fingers all over it and then be like, camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, without having to look at it because you know where the buttons are by touch. And you can't do that with a touch screen because as soon as you put your fingers down on the touch screen, you're doing things.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And you might lose your place or anything. So it is nice having that tactile control. And some of the last things as we're coming up on the hour here, but the other neat thing you'll see is I actually have this video playing. And this is just coming from like my vMix source. So any type of NDI player that you have maybe on the network, you can bring that in as a media player. So here's like the XL preview video. You can have that ready to go if you want. So that it's really nice to not just have cameras, not just BirdDog cameras, any NDI camera, but then also be able to utilize videos. We also showed at IBC that will be coming at the end of the month is the addition of NewBlue. So you can do NDI graphics that come right into this. So if you're doing any type of live sports streaming, you can actually bring in live titler into this. Or we also have a very basic titler you can do. So you can create your own little lower thirds. If I hit title on, let me flip back to this so you can see what I'm doing. If I hit title on, I have BirdDog Live coming up as a lower third. You can also set up a logo layer. So I have this little BirdDog now at the top left. You can bring that on and off. So you can actually have 3 different layers of graphics in Maki Studio, which I think is a big differentiator in the switching space. Usually you're limited to 1 or none. This one gives you 3 different layers: logos, built-in titler, or titles from a third-party source like URL graphics or NDI graphics.
And I think one of the key things is also that these are downstream keys, so you can switch underneath of the graphics and the graphics stay there. It's not that you're building scenes and this scene has to have the graphic and this is the scene without the graphic. It's sort of like you could just add that graphic but still be switching. So it's like, okay, here's the sponsor for this section of the game, and now you're still switching the game, and then you just swap that graphic out. So that is a little bit different in that these are separate just graphics layers.
Yeah, so you can kind of see a little bit there. I have the video playing with the graphics layers, and I can take them off. I can bring it back on, and as I'm switching between these sources, it'll stay on. I saw a question about for audio. So the main way that you can do audio is if you have an NDI source that has it embedded, or you can utilize an NDI audio if you want. If you bring that in as a source, that will show up here in the mixer. You can also bring in, if you have a USB device, you can bring in an audio interface into here. So that's going to be the main way to do that. Is you're going to, on the bottom, you'll click, instead of the iPad microphone, you will click the USB interface if you plug that in. So you can see on the little bottom there, iPad mic. We've tested with Focusrite's, Behringer's, M Audio. And so those will all just show up as a device. And then you could have like an audio console running your audio and then just bring it into here as audio source. Then we also have AFV, so audio follows video. So you can leave that mixer on the whole time. And as you maybe switch between your cameras, the audio will pop up live as you switch between them. So that's kind of the basics for audio with that of the console mixer. If I flip back here, there we go. So yeah, it is a really cool, powerful tool to be able to get off your stream. And then you can also do 3 different streaming destinations. So these are just RTMP streaming. So if you do your custom, we also have, I think very soon, I know YouTube is live and then Facebook is coming to where you can direct sign in to them as well. So if you want to just put your credentials into the iPad, you can just stream straight away. Or if I go down to settings and hit stream destinations, you would just type in your URL and your stream key and start streaming like that. Yeah, so it is a really cool tool to be able to use. We've already seen some people, especially for like education or sports, with the inclusion of these URL HTML graphics. I think it's really powerful for any type of like school sports that want to bring in live graphics. They can do that and have the ability to import those into this with the URL graphics. So I think it is a really powerful tool to be able to edit. I saw one person that they just did their own custom HTML page, and they were like, yeah, I keep score at my high school games, and then I just pull in the web browser feed and then chroma key it, and that's all she wrote. So you can bring in live graphics, do it yourself, or there's other programs like Singular Graphics New Blue that will do scoreboard controllers. And the big thing that we announced at IBC with that New Blue integration is if you had bought or do buy a control surface, you will actually get a basic New Blue package for free. So that you can put on a Windows computer or a Mac, and then you can actually run in like a scoreboard controller or basic lower thirds from a separate graphics machine that was built to only do graphics. And that, like I said, will be coming as a free download code that you'll get if you purchased or do purchased a BirdDog Mach-E Studio control surface.
Now, with regards to sports, and those who do sports will, undoubtedly already know that there's a lot of sports services whereby, whether it be high school football or something like that, the data that's on the scoreboard is also available online, and then you can just subscribe to it, put that information into that URL, and then you're getting the scoreboard, and then you just need to put it wherever you want to put it on the page. Or if you want to dress it up, you could probably get New Blue to subscribe to that, and then design it how you want it to be designed for your particular show, and then bring, so in essence you're doing like 2 hops with the data, but it's data. It goes real fast.
Yeah, it is really cool. And I used to do like a lot of sports streaming and doing scoreboards. We used to do URL streaming, and we would have some volunteer go sit on an iPad and keep score. And so it was a really popular way to be able to get better stats for live streams.
A question came in about the audio, I guess. I'm not much into that NDI stuff yet, but are there some auxes?
Some auxes, as in...
I'm guessing aux audio?
So aux, the main way for audio is going to be either embedded into NDI, or it's going to be just over as long as it can show up on an iPad, which as a USB-C audio interface, then those will be the main methods to bring in audio. It doesn't have Dante support in it. And then it doesn't do it. Like I said, it does do NDI audio, which is a separate application that NDI has launched. So if you want to bring in your microphones through that, you can route the NDI audio straight into here as an input.
And I think, I'm just sort of like reading into the comment. If you wanted to have aux buses for sportscasters so that they're not hearing themselves in their own ears, there's not a multiple layer audio mixer where you can say, okay, Sportcaster 1 gets aux 1 where he's getting his own mix, and Sportscaster 2 is getting aux 2, which has got his own mix, and each one has their own mix minus. You're probably going to need like a dedicated audio mixer for that.
Yeah, so that, this is not meant to be that in terms of in depth for audio routing. Yeah, if you were going to do that, that would be handled on your mixer for sending out bus A, or aux 1, aux 2 to the commentators so they can hear themselves in their broadcast headsets. And then you would be bringing in their audio feed into the mixer, sending it to the USB interface, and then bringing it into Mach-E Studio as the final output.
And then he did clarify for different video outputs, or is there only like one program?
Yeah. So we are looking at that. Currently, it is only one program output, but we are in development trying to get another aux or an ISO feed, if you want, of being able to choose like an input. It's not currently built in, but right now it is. Whatever's in your top right program feed, that's what's going to go out to the stream, as well as the
recording.
It's going to go out to the stream as well as the NDI output and the recording.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can do also a local NDI output as well. So if you bring the program, you could bring it up on someone else's computer locally and not need to go over the public internet to get that video feed as well.
This question came in. I'm trying to read through it. Can you choose the inputs in that case? Let's say it's live sound. They give you the USB connection, but you'll need to route the aux 12 to your main audio channel, for example.
So if you're going into the USB connection and they're on the mixer and they have aux 12, you would say, I just need aux 12 as my one source. And then whatever they send flows through into Mach-E Studio as the live sound. From there, you'd have the option to turn it up or turn it down. There's also gain options in here as well. But yeah, whatever you want to receive as the audio is going to be handled on that audio mixer side. This isn't meant to be an audio mixer replacement because audio mixers go pretty in depth. So this is just meant to be that gateway to be able to grab what they're sending you.
Right.
And the audio interface, you could manipulate that if you wanted to. But yeah, any type of aux channel manipulation would happen on the audio mixer downstream before it comes into Mach-E Studio.
All right. And as we're wrapping up, before we get too far, I just want to tell everyone, once again, you can enter to win, if you haven't already, a 1-year BirdDog Connect subscription at bit.ly/BD entry for BirdDog entry, or use your phone pointed at the QR code and then enter your information into the form that appears. It'll be, give us your name, your email address. Give us your email address again in case you had a typo. Tell us what products you might have. Tell us what products you'd like to see, and hit enter on that. And that way you will be entered to win. Right now, we've got a handful of entries, so everybody who is still watching and has an opportunity to win this right now because we are still live. I do want to thank everybody who has thrown in questions. We've had some pretty good questions throughout the entire show, so thank you to everyone who's been here for the comments, and thank you to you, CJ, for having such a well-designed and well-set-up demo of everything from the studio, using just the control surface to the Mach-E Live, and I don't know, maybe we call it Mach-E Max or
Mach-E Mega. Yeah, no, it is. Thank you, Anthony. It is fun to, I think, go through the full range and show their different applications. And something I am working on actively right now is doing like the intro video training series as well for Mach-E Studio to make it easier for people to kind of get off the ground running. Same thing for Mach-E Live. We do have, I think, like 5 or 6 getting started YouTube videos right now for Mach-E Live, from setting up the app to connecting to updating the firmware over the app or the web UI. So we do have those available, but we will continue to pump out content. But no, it's really fun to answer these questions live. And like I said, if you guys do have any other questions for beta firmwares or any other questions you didn't get a chance to or you think about later, feel free to shoot me an email it's just CJ, 2 letters, @birddog.tv.
There you go. All right, I'm going to let you go, and we're going to do this giveaway. So again, thank you again, and I will look forward to doing another show with you in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony.
So again, thank you everyone for watching today's show. We have a giveaway to do. I'm sort of stalling just in case there's anybody who, last minute wanted to enter to win this giveaway today. You have an opportunity. Douglas says thank you. And if you haven't already checked out BirdDog Connect, there are 2 live videos that I did with Dan, and they sort of peel away the layers. It's a very, very deep, a very, very powerful tool that can be used for going across the internet, or just transcoding locally, or handling multiple sources into a multi-view, or there's so many different things it can do that what you use it for today might be different than what you want to use it for tomorrow. That's one of the really cool things about Connect. And winning a year subscription to it means you have that opportunity to really, use it as you wish, as that need changes. So what I'm going to do here is I'll come down to this one, and we have these entries right here. Ollie, Anthony, that's not me, Douglas, Fatah, Diana, and Richard. You are the names I am going to select right here. I'm going to copy. Then I'm going to come over to the wheel of names. As you can see, there's no names in there yet. I'm going to paste these names. I'm doing this in front of you so that you can see it's not me. And I'm going to click the wheel. And the winner is Ollie. So congratulations to Ollie Tracy. You are the winner of an entire year of BirdDog Connect. And I appreciate you being part of today's show and entering to win and winning. So again, thank you everyone for watching BirdDog Connect. And I appreciate everyone's questions, especially because that really helps drive the show, because we don't know what you would like to know. So asking those questions really helps us understand those things that you want to find out more. And I see a couple more questions coming in. Future dedicated show to CJ is chiming in. He's answering one of the other questions. We will have a future dedicated show dedicated to the XL. Yes, the XL is definitely worth its own show. 2 cameras, big sensor, just lots of really cinematic capabilities with that camera. So definitely looking forward to that. So till next time, I'm going to tell everyone thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you.